a place where we shape the next generation, a place where we discuss issues like relationships, career and business advice, education and religious matters, and much, much more. So sit back, watch, and be informed. Your host is Laban Bithi.
Hi, and a very good evening. My name is Brian Moses, and once again, welcome back to this show. Thank you for tuning in. If you're here, don't go anywhere else because this is a show you don't want to miss. Today, we are talking issues family and work balance. How do you balance being a mother or a father and your career? My guests are already with me in studio. They are normal faces, and I would like them to introduce themselves from you, sir.
My name is Martin Donyo, and I'm glad that we are having this opportunity again, and I believe that it's going to be a very fruitful one. And again, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Good evening, viewers. Once again, I'm glad that we are together with you, and my name is Margaret Mwaki.
You've been common forces here, and always thank you for finding time to share your views on the various topics that we've always been having. And now, today we are talking about career and family balance. And I'll just begin with you. Career and family balance, how is it like? How should somebody do it?
I'd say there's no formula. It's not really, it's not a straight line,
Yeah.
which can be said to have, like what the Bible says, this is the way, walk ye in it. I don't think there's anything like that when it comes to career and family and how to balance it.
Yeah.
But it's a very important aspect that people need to master. Why? Because both are important. You need the career for the family to be stable and secure. You also need family for you to be fulfilled and even to be productive in career.
Yeah.
So I think it's something that we all need to learn to master. And again, we learn to master based on the dynamics that we all find ourselves in. The reason I'm saying this is because each family has its own dynamics, and each line of career has its own unique features that will dictate. And by this I mean, there are people that work strictly 8 to 5. There are careers that are very unpredictable in terms of working hours. There are careers that will have either a night shift or a day shift, all those. And again, when it comes to family, what does your partner do? How do they help for you to balance? Are there children? How old are they? What are their demands? So all those are things that play a big role when it comes to career and family balance.
Miss Margaret, have you ever found yourself in a situation where you feel like what you do and your family time do not really balance? Like you're having a lot of time at work, or maybe you're having a lot of time doing or rather developing your career?
Well, I found myself in such a situation. There's a time I was working past between 5 and 8. And it was like daily.
Yeah.
And I had some young children. And but I had to do it, but I later realized I need to be with the family at that time, because it was a young family.
Yeah.
It was a challenge, indeed, which not only me but other women, and especially women,
Yeah.
who who find themselves in if they are working at a time when they should be in with their family, especially young children. So I found myself there, and I decided I will have to walk away from it.
Yeah.
And one of them, but God was faithful. I managed to get away from the evening so that I can be with the children.
Now, how did you realize that the family and work time do not balance? What are some of the, key facts that you began maybe seeing, and you realized that there is a problem somewhere?
Okay. Let me say what brought that was the fact that I realized that God brings children into a family, not as a burden, not as a by the way, but as a responsibility to parent, to mentor, to guide, and to be there for the children.
Yeah.
And when they are very young, their attention, they need their parents very much. So let me say God helped me understand that. And that is when I decided I need to come out of the evening work that I was doing. I was teaching part-time, and we had many, we were many of us. But I want to give God all the glory, because He opened my eyes to that. So even right now, when I am away from them in the evening, first of all, I have to let them know I'm going to be away doing this and that. And but shouldn't be an everyday thing.
Yeah. Now, Martin, Miss Margaret is saying that this is a problem that is commonly faced by women. Do you think that men and women face the problem at the same proportion?
It's more on the women. And again, I think it's simply because of the gender roles. I always say that the man, because there is more that is going to be achieved in that home than when the man is there earlier. Some people would like to dispute it in this day of equality.
Yeah, gender equality.
But that's the truth. That there is more that is achieved when the mother of the home is there earlier. There's much more that is achieved.
Yeah.
And so, yes, naturally, I think women bear the brunt more than men. And I think that's why when now career does not allow for them to be there for their family, especially when the children are still awake. Because you see, you can be there in the home, but everybody else is asleep.
Yeah.
So when career does not allow them to be there when the children especially are awake, then I think it's a big challenge.
Yeah.
But like I said, everybody has, you see, like what Margaret did, she had to sacrifice and adjust the working hours so that, and she should actually be very grateful, because now at least for her the career was that flexible. For many other people it's not that flexible.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so, Martin, I'll use this. So I know you have experience in this field. Let's say you are looking at a child, or you're looking at somebody with his parents. How do you realize that this person, rather this kid, there is something that is not adding up here? Like, this kid must not be having enough time with his parent and all that. How do somebody realize that there is an issue of imbalance between job and family time?
Now, children will behave differently at different stages of life.
Yeah.
When they are much younger, they'll naturally want to be very close to the teacher, who is a replacement of the absent parent. So that you'll find, and again at that age, they tend to trust the teacher more. When they are at those tender ages, they can dispute anything you tell them that is contrary to what the teacher said. And so naturally they'll tend to gravitate towards the teacher and have a relationship. And a teacher that is keen will tell that there's a deficiency back home, either by what the student or the child will share, or by how they behave, especially when you find that child withdrawn, they don't want to associate so much with others and all that, it tells something.
Yeah.
But as they grow, and especially in teenage, that deficiency comes out as rebellion. Most students that tend to be rebellious in school, especially high school, it's a telltale sign of something amiss at home. And so they are trying to get that attention from you, the teacher, or from fellow students, the attention that is lacking back at home. So it depends with the stage.
Yeah.
A younger child will openly be more, will be closer and seek solace in the teacher. But as they grow, they want to bring it out with negative energy. So again, it is up to the teacher to not be quick to judge the student, but try and bring them closer and understand what could be leading to this behavior. Because in real sense, some of them, it's genuine issues from parents that are either absent, you know, or parents that do not have enough time with them, and such.
And now, still to you, Martin, the job market today maybe demands that you have more, you have more hours at work, more than your house. Rather, there are very few families where you find that you can work from the house, right? Now, you find yourself in this situation where you have to work maybe for 10 hours, 11 hours. When you go back to the house, you're tired. How do somebody manage this? How do you find more time with your family?
Again, not a clear-cut path, but there are several ways that I have seen people do it and it has worked. You find that somebody has a career that's very demanding, so what they do, they make sure that they have a day in a week that is purely for family, purely. They'll switch off their phones, they'll have all the time with their family, and it has worked. Okay? You'll find others that the partners, the man and the woman, will sit down and agree that one will sacrifice their career progression for a certain period of time until the children are at a certain age.
Yeah.
I know of a lady that was quite senior in the insurance industry who took a break to raise the children to a certain age, and then she went back into the job market. And there are others that will take a complete leave from career progression, either start some business that is flexible to allow them have time with the children and with the family and such like. So it is from person to person. What are the dynamics? What is unique about your career and your family? Yeah, like I said, at what age are we talking about the children? There's a stage that will require a lot of attention, especially from the mother. You see, those are realities that we cannot run away from. Yeah? There's an age, even if the father is there, below 1 year, that child understands only the mother. Yeah, the father can be there, yes, but the mother more. So I think it is from person to person. You simply look for what works for you. Okay, and you make it work, because you realize that both are important, both are very essential for a holistic life. So you can't do without any.
Yeah. Margaret, you work for the government, and I know it's a requirement that there's specific times that you have to be at work, there's specific time that you shouldn't be at work, and you're a mother as well. Now, how do you do it in your own way? How do you create time for your family? How do you ensure that you have that bond as a mother?
Okay, once I have Saturdays, I've set it aside as a time for us to do everything together. And then in the evening, I just discuss with them, how was your day? What did you do in school? Just asking them what happened.
Yeah.
So that they can see mom is interested in what they are going through or what is happening in their life in school. Then they will report to me any negative incidents.
Yeah.
We will talk. I tell them, for example, I have to tell them, if somebody calls you a dog, are you really a dog? You think you are a dog? In the intention of making them slight insults and bullying, to bring, so I make it intentional. There is something I have to do with them, in them, for that 1 hour we are together in the evening. Saturday is a day I've set for mentoring them in house chores and other responsibilities. And I do it consciously because I know the time is limited. They need that at a certain age. Once they are teenagers and they are off, it may be a bit late. Yeah.
And do you see this working for you? Like, do you see some kind of alignment on how they behave, how they relate with people?
I would say that both of them, especially, they are bold. They are bold. They are confident in telling me what is happening in school, especially with the teachers and students.
Yeah.
Though I don't discuss with them how negative about the teachers, but they are free to tell me anything. For now, they are still very young, but I am working towards raising up people who are self-confident.
I never wanted to bring the issue of gender imbalance in this, but what do you think are the roles of the likes of Kina Martin, let's say the dads, to ensure that the family balance really works? Because you're a mother, sometimes you come from work, you realize that you are the person who, you need to do the dishes, you need to cook for the husband, the family. What do you think should be the role of fathers in ensuring family balance, family work balance?
Now, I think I would have to look at it from the biblical perspective, because that is the blueprint of a family. The husband and the man should be the one who is leading the family. And the wife and the mother is one who should be more with the children. I think that was the divine order. That is because that's why you find even in our African culture, when Christianity had not come up, we had the societies had defined order in them. God was still with them in structuring how families are supposed to be run in family and roles of husbands and wives. So, for example, you find Kikuyus, the women used to be with the children in the farms in the nearby. And the men would be out there taking care of the cattle and hunting and all that. And I believe it's the same case with the other cultures. And again, the way women are created by God naturally. Let me say, for example, we are given the mammary glands. What are they for? For feeding children. And that means we were created to be with the children more. And then you find we are naturalists. So when the dynamics of today alienates the woman so much from that role, I find that it brings a bit of confusion. And when a woman and a man fights themselves back into the divine order, there is normally some peace. Divine order. But this need is only when the family is very young. Once the kids are youths, and youths actually, you have done enough. And they are free, and you're free to do so many things. Yeah.
Martin, as a father, not as a family, as a father, what do you do to ensure that your wife, you married? Yes. What do you do to ensure that your wife and your kids and you, now the family, is bonded together as a father?
I think the most important thing is first to appreciate that you have a role to play. and it goes beyond just providing. Because I think the biggest challenge we usually have as men, the school fees is paid, they have food on the table, they want toys, they are there. No? So even if we don't see each other for the whole week, and not that I don't sleep in the house, but I leave very early and I come home very late. You know? So, and there are such scenarios where a whole week can go and people have not seen each other. So I think it's very important for one to understand that they have a role. And that role goes beyond just providing. That, and I like what Margaret said, it's to lead. You have to be the first role model. You have to be the first mentor. You know? I remember when we were growing up, our mother used to warn us, after she's caned you and you seem to be very adamant that you're not going to change, wait until your father comes. And you know what that meant, you know? So it goes beyond just the provision. It goes beyond, there's a big role that the man has to play in leading and all that. So I think that's very key. And you cannot lead in absentia.
Yeah.
You cannot mentor in absentia. Like we said in the past session, mentorship has to be one-on-one, you know? And so your children will want you to be there, to lead by example, to lead by correction, and such. Yes.
And so, is it that the today's world demands that you have to work for more? For example, let's say, you know, it's very normal that, and it's said that if you've got money, you'll obviously look for more. That money is never enough. So parents tend to create more time for work. Yeah. How do somebody, you know, manage? Like, do we wait until our children are at a certain age when we begin chasing money, or what do we do it? Or does it mean that now we should get married at later ages after we've achieved everything that you want? Yeah, what's your view on that?
My take on is, first of all, I think when we understand the purpose of anything, then I think we are set to decide what to do. If to a family, if to a couple, family, I'm talking about now the children, who are the ones who bring a lot of charity. If they are very important, or they are considered as an asset and something variable, then the decisions that will be made regarding what to do when is planned and it's agreed by the two, because it's very important. Now, money is good and very, very good, because without money, we can't have so many things. But I tend to feel that we should not look for money. It should not be the end, but it should be a means to the end. I repeat, getting money and wealth should not be the end of our doing. It should be a means to the end. That means our end is the family. Our vision is the family, a healthy family. And therefore, we determine what is priority at this time. And then we decide what should be a priority at a later time. And that means then, especially for us women, where the two agree, a woman can slow down in the early ages of the parenting, or postpone development of career and working, doing work that is very demanding in terms of time. And then at a later time, they can pursue the money they want, the career they want, and businesses and jobs that will be taking them from one continent to another, because they have already laid the foundation on the children, that the fruit of their womb and whatever. They have already laid the right foundation. They have nurtured they have watched it grow, so that now even if they are learning from one continent to another, they know the foundation is strong.
And Martin, before we just close this show, I'd like to hear your view on this. It's very normal today. If you get out on the roads at 5 a.m., you'll see children going to school. They've been picked up already. So you find that sometimes a parent is really having time, but kids don't have time. The children don't have time more than the parents. And they come back to the house very late in the evening. Sometimes on weekends they go for tuition. On Sunday, of course, if you're a believer, you have to go to church. How do somebody work on this tight schedule? How do you create time on this tight schedule?
So sometimes I pity those children who are in the bus at 5 and they'll get to school at 8.
Yeah.
Because they were the first ones to be picked. And so because they're the first ones to be picked, they have to get into the schedule of that bus.
Yeah.
And I think then that comes back to the aspect of intentional parenting. Do they have to go to that school? Yes.
That's now a matter of making a tough decision.
Yes, it's a good school. No problem. But again, in business, there's what we call opportunity cost. So they go to this school that is very good. They'll come out with very good grades. But are they responsible citizens? Will they be nurtured? Will they have the nurturing that they need from home? Because again, you find that most parents, because of the career demands, they leave the parenting to the teacher. And they'll be very tough on teachers. That my child came here and became spoiled. It is rarely the case. Charity begins at home. So again, career and family balance. Yes, because if that child has to go to that school because they are getting, it's the best school, then maybe you need to move closer to the school. Yeah, because I know of a lady who one time the child came from school an hour later, simply because there was another child that was going to be dropped further. So the van took more time to drop this one. And she told me, I can't do that. So she had to readjust, and because she drives, she decided to be taking the child herself. So there are things that we must do. It's not easy. It's painful. It is costly. But if you speak to people that have gone ahead of us, you realize that there are people that make decisions that they come to regret. You see, that tender age you are talking about, it's a very small span, about 13 years, 12 years.
Yes.
Then after that, that child will simply run on the operating system that you installed.
Yes.
And some of these decisions that people have to make are not popular. You look very stupid when you're making some of them. But at the end of the day, you have secured your child's future. You have given them a solid foundation, because money comes and money goes. But this child, God forbid, when they are busy doing drugs, or they are busy from one police station to another, and simply because of 2 years that you chased after money, and it is okay to have a very successful career, but at what cost? If it has to be at a cost, then let it not be your family. One preacher taught us something that I always refer to every time, and he taught us of the priority list. That it is first God, then your spouse, then your children. Work comes at number 4. Okay? It might be debatable. And then after that, then your church. Okay? And then last, your extended family. That's your parents and all that. So if you have to do anything, priority. And for me, it works. For me, I totally subscribe to that. God comes first. Nothing should compromise your faith. So even as you're building your career, for those of us that are believers, we have a reference point. You know, what is the guidance of the Bible? Then after that, your spouse. Then the gifts that come out of that union, which are the children. So before you tell us that you're busy pursuing, I had a colleague. The wife was working in Qatar. He was pushing to go and teach in China. They have a 6-year-old girl. It's 7 years. Now, I mean, then after all that money, what happens? Huh? You know, so for me, that is what I subscribe to, that priority list. And I think it's something that I would propose to any other person. You know, even as you're making your decisions, you can use it to guide you in how to prioritize your life. Because you'll get the money. But when you come back with those millions and a very polished career, will you have children to celebrate you? Will you have an old age that is peaceful? You know, because again, at the end of the day, it has its limit. There's a point you get and you have reached your optimum. And that stage is when now family becomes very important.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Will you have a family to go back to? Or will you be a stranger coming home from some beaten path?
Margaret, maybe your last word for the show, maybe just using this camera.
Okay, I will agree with my colleague here that we need to prioritize our lives, and family should come first. Then career should come next. And I would encourage the young women, to slow down a bit when their family is very young, and take time to build up in the lives of their children. And then later, when they are teens and above, they can now begin to develop careers and take jobs that may demand more of their time. It's not wrong. There's no delay. Actually, it's making the right decision, though it looks a bit foolish. Because when your colleagues are doing this and doing that and doing that, it may look like you're making the wrong decision. But that is the right decision, because you will not regret in future. When you have a very strong and healthy children who will even support you in the future.
And I think it's very normal to hear of parents who had a lot of money and they took their children to study abroad, and the children comes back, you know, drug addicts, like they become totally nothing in the society. It is a common thing that happens.
I know one like that. And you see, all those high-flying jobs, very accomplished, I'm telling you, career-wise.
Yeah.
And even financial. But you come back home to children that are not anything for you to be proud of. I remember the words that, and they always ring in my mind, that Professor Wangari Maathai said just a few years before she died. That and she was doing an interview, and she was asked what she would do differently if she was to start all over again. And she said that I would spend more time with my family. I would give more priority to my children. So when you are busy celebrating now with a Nobel Peace Prize, you know,
there's a regret
when we were busy, she looked back and realized she lost it.
Yeah.
And somebody once asked, I think it's he's called Dr. D.K. Jacob. He's very popular on Facebook, he said, it was a question he threw to people. Nelson Mandela, a very accomplished gentleman, celebrated the world over. But if you look at his children, the number of children that have unfortunately succumbed to AIDS and all that, was he really, would you rate him as an accomplished man? And he said he has a lot of respect to Mandela. But again, as a father, because out there people really don't care about you the moment you stop achieving. And that's why when you, let's take for example what is going on, when you are in power, people worship you. The moment you get out, then you realize how useless in their eyes you are. Who do you go back home to? You know? So I think it's a challenge, it's a wake-up call. I know it's not a very popular perspective in today's world. Most people look at us as very confused. But it's okay, because again, there are things that will never change with time. They remain constant, just like change itself. And those are the principles that govern a fulfilled life, whether you like it or not. You have to. And I like what the former president of the US used to do, Obama. Yes. And he brought to the fore the importance of family. I think for the first time we saw what family was in America, you know?
Yeah.
He was the most vocal of the presidents that have been there in our age. So it's very key. If a man at that level could find time, could prioritize the family, how busy are you? You know? How important is this other thing that you are doing? It's not easy. It's not cheap. You have to make some expensive decisions. But somebody once said, the children don't want the toys. They want you. You know? Yes, they want you. And I think it's a wake-up call to all of us in this generation. Even the fathers, the ones that you're saying, you know, now the mother has to be there more. No problem, but sacrifice that small time, whatever that would mean to you, but at least be there.
And I would add on that, and especially in our time, there is a lot of source of information from verifiable sources to that is the social media, and there is no formal source of information pertaining to life.
Yes.
If a young man is not going to church, then it means, or mosque, that means now they are left to learn the tenets of life from the world, which is, most of them may not be true. However, if the family takes up that role, then we have a young people that are graduating into youth, that are graduating into adulthood with the correct values, information. If you look at the African culture, there were systems of educating, of informing. Within the family, extended family, even the society, such that you find the children had relevant information for whatever. Now, we have a very big responsibility, parents, and that's why I think those who understand may need to create time for family. That now that our children have no one to teach them, that system has been destroyed by westernization. It's the onus of every parent to take it up, starting from whatever age, all the way even up to youth. Very important for us.
And at the end of the day, they are your children. When the Swahili sage, asiyefunzwa na mamaye, they knew something. So it means the first priority or the first prerogative is on the parent. You know, before you say that teachers are not disciplining, and then you go back and say that when the child is caned, it is against human rights, and then you sue the teacher. Before that happens,
Yeah.
it is your prerogative,
Yeah.
it is your duty. You know, and at the end of the day, give the world the kind of children that you want the world to view you as, because our children are a mirror of us.
Sure.
So give them what they, how will they judge you when they see your children? And you pray that they turn out well.
Yeah. And now we stop it at that question, how busy are you? Now, Margaret said that money should not be the end, but the means to the end. And Martin is talking about opportunity cost, sorry. And he says that you should look at your priorities, and he's giving us a very powerful hierarchy list here, and says God, spouse, children, work, then extended family, right?
Yeah, church and then extended.
Church and then extended family. And we are stopping at that point. Martin and Margaret, thank you for coming. Thank you for always finding time to come to the show. And we are very grateful that you are always available. My name is Brian Moses, standing in for Laban Mbidi. Until next time, thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye.
How can a young person be consistent on a purpose?
Hallelujah.
How can a young person?
You see a person doing or behaving a certain way, it is out of information. You dress like you think. You talk like you think. Out of what is inside here, the fullness within here, that's what the mouth speaks. So what you have in your head, you behave like that.
What do you understand by social media?
Yeah, social media, it's a platform, it's a connecting platform.
All right.
Just as the word goes, social media, it's a platform for mostly socializing. It's a media of exchanging information.
To be inspired, be ready to be transformed, be ready to get something great, something that is going to change you. Be ready to receive a word for you.